the Civil War, and the Battle at Gettysburg. The Civil War is one of the most bloody American conflicts we've ever had. While some wars, such as World War I and II, might have total casualties higher, the Civil War has the highest American casualties out of any war. And up until World War II, it had it more than every other war combined. It had 620,000 casualties. That was 2% of the entire population of America at the time, specifically the United States of America. If that casualties amount was to be applied right now, the same percentage, that would be 6.7 million. It's had an effect. It started when the southern states, feeling as if they weren't being represented and fearing that slavery was going to be outlawed, seceded from the nation. There was an election, and in that election, Abraham Lincoln was elected. Pretty much the entirety of the South didn't vote for him. I mean, I can't say for certain that no one did. I'm sure there's plenty of individual people, but the vast majority did not vote for him. So a lot of the South looked at it and thought, well, we can't even win this. We all voted for one person and we still lost. The North has control. We want to have our voices heard and we want to keep slavery because the North was very anti-slavery. And this had a massive effect on things. Not only did it just affect that many casualties, 2% of the entire population, it also affected farms, whether it be farms that their fence posts were taken and used for firewood, whether it was barns that got burned down, was farms in their fields that were on battlefields that completely ruined the entire harvest. Farms were completely devastated. Even trees, a lot of local white livestock, deforestation on a mass scale, because both armies need wood for things, whether it be repairing, whether it be for building forts. So massive deforestation, the animals in that area obviously leaving because they want forests to live in. Also diseases, countless thousands of those soldiers wasn't just the battlefield that killed them. It was sickness of that many people being crowded in fairly close quarters, getting sick, passing disease on to everyone else, and suddenly you had massive epidemics. That applied to horses as well, whether it be in the battlefield or from diseases to themselves. Horses died rapidly in the war. And it got to the point where they were pulling horses from pretty much all over the nation to keep up with the demand. This is also where modern horse medicine started to really get its thriving up again. Because, you needed horses to survive. It's a lot more expensive to get new horses than to keep the ones you have already alive. And corpses. There was certain points in time when the battlefield was so bloody and disgusting that not even vultures were really wanting to be in that area, let alone the people around it. This is where we get the actual Battle of Gettysburg. What happened was the Confederacy, under Robert Lee, was trying to go in. They went into Pennsylvania and they were trying to attack up against Washington, D.C., trying to take at the heart of the capital. One of the really few times in the Civil War where battles actually started moving into northern territory rather than southern. And at McPherson Ridge, there was two scouts regiments, one from the Union, one from the Confederacy. They saw each other. They engaged. The Union retreated. The Confederacy pursued. The Union called reinforcements. The Confederacy did the same. And suddenly you had a completely unplanned battle. A battle that was one of the bloodiest in the Civil War, with 51,112 total dead. 23,049 from the Union and 28,063 from the Confederacy. And that's just the dead. They had over 32,000 that were wounded. And so What remains for us to see is to carry on that legacy. At the time, it was turned into a cemetery that stands to this day. And as Abraham put it, it is for us to be here dedicated, us the living to be here dedicated. They've done their job, and now it's time for us to take up the mantle of liberty and keep it going.